here with composer Rain Worthington, and we will be speaking a little bit about her music today and specifically her piece Paper Wings that I'll be performing this coming Sunday, May 16th at Andi Music Live in Baltimore as part of my ongoing Beyond Bach series. I'm so excited to be speaking with Rain today. We've actually been in contact and getting to know each other for the past couple of years because you heard it here first. She actually wrote a piece for me that will be recording for an album release in very shortly, a few days. That's a
And and I was very honored to write a piece for you. Very honored.
Thank you. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, the honor and pleasure is mine. It's been so fun to work on that piece, which is titled Balancing on the Edge of Shadows. It's for violin and piano. But, as a performer, it's always incredibly wonderful to be able to work not only with a living composer, but work on multiple pieces by that composer to kind of get a larger context and, you get a little bit more insight into
Huh.
the works of that composer. So that's what's been really fun for me in working on kind of multiple pieces by you. And I'm really happy to play Paper Wings coming up. So I thought if you wouldn't mind maybe just talking a little bit about Paper Wings. I know it is dedicated to your mother Nancy, which coincidentally is also my mother's name. So I feel very
Oh,
connected to this as well, even further. So, do you have anything that you want to talk about in general about the piece, or specifically kind of introduce it and give us some background?
well, it's a short piece, as many of mine are, and my process is a little uh, I think what they call through composed. I start writing and then I just continue writing, and it seems like when it works, when you're in the zone, the music just follows kind of a natural emotional logic. I don't. I'm self-taught, so I don't structure the piece in terms of harmony or architecture or anything like that. And because of the process, because my works are very emotional, a lot of time, I mean, the source point for them is emotions and reflections on life. A lot of times, I don't know what the piece is about until I'm in the middle of it. It's maybe you as a performer have some of that process too, of like being in the midst of a piece and kind of going, oh, I'm feeling this, I'm understanding it.
Mm.
So that's kind of what happens to me with the pieces. And so I was in the middle of this and I realized that this really had a lot to do with the feelings I had about what my mother was going through. She was in fragile health, and her health continued to decline. And um, but she was a writer, and she was remarkable in her resilience and her ability to reinvent herself and to keep her spirits up. And so that's what the title is. It's like Paper Wings. It's her writings would lift her spirits as if on paper wings. Fragile but still lifting. So
Mm.
that's kind of what you know how the piece evolved.
Absolutely, that's really beautiful. I think that is amazing, and I think that when you're saying sometimes you're writing and then you don't have necessarily a plan from the beginning, but that evolves and you figure it out
Right,
throughout your process.
right.
And I think that's a beautiful thing. And especially in this case, maybe something was speaking to you through her, and you're in this piece. And it's
You,
interesting.
Audrey, can I ask you? Do you find sometimes that you as a musician find that something like that happens to you when you're rehearsing in piece? Or,
Yeah, I think it's a great question. Every, you know, each time that I approach a new piece or a new work, I don't necessarily have a set process for approaching it. I mean, there are kind of general things that you do to start off with, but for me, I'm very much kind of intuition based. So as much as I try to set down and say, I'm going to make decisions about fingerings and bowings, I'm going to do my score study, make sure that I look at the piece structurally before diving in. Oftentimes kind of my intuition will just get the better of me, and I'll just dive in and start exploring.
right,
And so sometimes that's actually really nice. Sometimes you can find yourself in the deep end very quickly, and then realize you have to kind of backtrack, and then figure out some of the nuts and bolts to be able to understand it even better. But I
right,
think that kind of intuition based approach is kind of nice because it's almost like painting.
yeah,
I do some painting when I am organized in my life and feel like I have the space mentally to do so. But it's like, with watercolor, you kind of just start with a line, and you kind of follow how the paint spreads on the page, and that's kind of a really refreshing process. So I'd say yes, in a way I do go through that similarly, and then you know find deeper meaning and draw connections along the way, as
um,
opposed to kind of starting from like I know structurally what's going on, right from the beginning.
right, right, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I think that's one reason that like I was so drawn to your playing too. When I was being considered to write a piece for you, um, I watched a lot of your performance videos, and I just really felt the kind of intuition that you had for the music and the sensitivity and the emotionality. And I was really drawn to it, and so I think because my pieces are technically less difficult, less virtuosic, from a showcase kind of showy kind of perspective. They allow the musician to enter into it more intuitively. I mean, I know what you're saying about like going in and going, whoa, wait a minute, I need a little more, I need a little more work
Yes.
on the back end first. But because my pieces are fairly, they're not virtuosic and they aren't technically super demanding at all, you know, it allows the musicians who want to go into it intuitively to kind of enter into it. So I
Yes, it's
think it
very
works.
inviting in that way.
Yeah, I think it works well with us,
Yes,
that way.
yes. A
Yeah.
good pairing. Let's
Yes.
let's say it's a
There
good
you
pairing.
go.
Yes, well, I appreciate you saying that very much. I think I I'm very drawn to looking for the gesture and any kind of piece of music that I'm playing, and every composer has their own very personal kinds of gesture or gesturing, right? And so I try to kind of look for that, and that's very much intuition based for
Yeah.
sure, to find that. And what I was really drawn to in Paper Wings is this sense of musical flow, something that uh, you don't feel that there's rhythmic structure in the sense that it's being kind of held down. It really does feel like there's something that's kind of carrying you, some kind of airstream that
Uh,
that helps the music along. And so I find it really beautiful in that sense. And so that's why I feel that the subject matter, the emotional subject matter, really ties beautifully to the actual notes that you've written.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you. Yeah.
absolutely.
And that's also a little characteristic about my music too, that I kind of want the musician to I I want the pieces to have a sense of rubato,
Mm.
kind of throughout, without specifying that. I feel that a lot of times that'll happen naturally.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, you have some really beautiful moments where you'll write kind of notes that start kind of off of the downbeat, so things kind of feel like they hang or they float, and nothing ever feels like it's being dragged down
uh,
or kind of being solidified in a downward manner. So that's really nice to play around with.
oh, that's perfect.
Mhm.
Do you want to write my program notes for my pieces? That would be great.
No, yours is actually really, really beautiful, and it's really helpful to think about. But I'm glad that we're on the same
No, I
page.
mean that you felt that.
Yeah,
That's really nice. That's
yeah,
really nice.
yeah. So
So, uh,
I, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to ask you, so how did you come up with the concept of what inspired the concept of the
the
concert?
the program. So the program is titled Homage, as you know, and similar perhaps to kind of my process for starting learning a piece of music. I didn't really have a set structure in mind when I went about kind of structuring all of these programs. I knew that I was going to do 4 programs of solo violin music.
Uh-huh,
That was my general parameter, and so from that, I just started picking and choosing pieces, kind of just doing research, finding what was out there. I knew that I wanted to grab certain pieces that I had never had the opportunity to program before, solo works that have always kind of been on the back of my mind to program. Um, I wanted to explore composers' works who I had not performed before, composers who I've never worked with before. That's why the New York Women Composers Grant was such a fabulous opportunity for me, because my goal was to learn about music out there that I hadn't known before,
right.
and meet composers who I hadn't worked with before. So I, just started compiling a lot of music that I thought would be effective and that kind of spoke to me. And so once I, got a nice handful of those pieces, I started looking at what were the connections between those pieces.
Uh-huh,
And I happened to notice that a few of the pieces dealt with kind of paying tribute to someone in the composer's life, or some place in the composer's life that was meaningful to them. And I thought that was a really nice kind of window
uh-huh,
into a program, because that can mean so many different things, right? So once I said, oh, I think this is a nice theme, um, within that, then there's like a very wide variety of like music and kind of background stories, um, for these pieces. So um, yeah, it kind of just happened organically, I'd say. Just kind of noticing patterns and
yeah.
trying to make meaning out of the collection of works that I had. And then, if I needed to fill pieces in to that program, I would go searching for it. But it wasn't very difficult to do, actually. It was just kind of natural.
Right, right. And
Yeah.
you've been so busy.
Yeah. Well, it's fun. I mean, I really have to say, I mean, this is something that I've been interested in for a while. I actually received my doctorate from University of Maryland. I graduated in 2019, and my dissertation was essentially a survey on solo violin repertoire from the 17th century through 20th centuries, and I focused on kind of a very particular style of polyphonic writing and music.
Uh-huh,
But in that process, I kept coming across all sorts of music and composers that I really wanted to play
Uh-huh.
and explore, and it just didn't fit with my particular dissertation. So, um, I've been thinking a lot about solo music since then, and then of
Yeah.
course with the pandemic, being forced to, not make music with others for a period of time, kind of got me thinking about that even more. So it's been a nice opportunity to really explore all of this genre even more.
Right, right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's happened for a lot of musicians and performing artists during the pandemic.
absolutely.
All of a sudden, they're studying repertoire
Yeah.
and researching repertoire. I'm so glad that the New York Women Composers Grant came through
Yes.
because it's an interesting organization. It has a huge, just a wide diversity of types of, you know, compositional voices, the whole spectrum of what's going on in contemporary music. So,
Absolutely.
and it kind of, your theme of the four concerts really kind of explores that, so it's
Yes.
really interesting.
Yeah,
So,
I was absolutely, thrilled to that you brought it to my attention and that it ended up working out. Like I said, because I really wanted to meet new composers who are writing in this realm, and it's funny that for the first concert that was kind of violin plus, very much electronics based and all that sort of thing, I was a little worried. I was wondering, like, oh, I don't know, I'm not sure, because I wasn't familiar with organization, what if that would appeal to any of the composers in the call for scores. And
uh-huh.
then I had like a bunch of submissions. So it was difficult actually to choose, a set number to highlight. But I am super happy with all of the pieces that ended up
Great.
being programmed.
And even though it's called the New York Women Composers, once people join as a member through the residency in New York or the surrounding metro area, they can move anywhere and choose to retain their membership.
Right.
So Chen Yi has been
Yes.
a member for a long time, and she lives out in Missouri, I think Missouri now, and so
Yeah, thank you so much for bringing that to my attention. Like I said, I had no idea, and I
yeah,
recently emailed her, um, just to tell her about the concert and chat with her about her piece. So it's really a funny and wonderful coincidence that she is also connected in this way.
yeah, and she's so nice. So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Well, this is wonderful, Rain. I really appreciate you chatting with me about this whole experience and your music. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about with
Oh no,
regards
we
to?
could go on for hours.
Yeah, of course.
Can
Another time. We'll do
yeah,
another chat. But
yeah, no, I'm
thanks.
looking forward to the concert on Sunday. Really looking forward to it, and the other two concerts coming up. And it's been great, and I'm looking forward to your recording of the commissioned piece. I'm very excited about that. So,
It's an
and
exciting few months.
hopefully there'll be an in-person premiere. You know,
Yes. That is in the works.
yeah.
So stay tuned.
Okay, I will.
Yeah.
Thanks
Great.
so much.
Thank you, Rain. We will be in touch soon, and I can't wait for people to hear your music on Sunday. And I'll see you again soon, I'm sure.
Okay, and that's May 16th,
May
right?
16th. Yes,
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock. But the live stream link is good for um, about a week after. So
Okay, great, great. Okay, thank you.
wonderful. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye.